Hi guys, GrandJ here and welcome to another one of our videos. Today is our second part of our Set 7 card set review. Today we'll be talking about the red and green Saiyan Saga cards, as well as the green leader cards as well. So, let's get started. The first card we'll be talking about is one of the green leader cards. It is Raditz Brotherly Hate. On the front side, when this card attacks a leader card, your opponent chooses one card from their hand and sends it to their warp. Activate main once per turn, look at up to the top 5 cards from top of your deck, choose up to one red or green Raditz, Vegeta, or Nappa among them and add it to your hand, shuffle your deck, and if you added a card using this card's effect, choose one card from your hand and place it into your drop area. On Awaken, when your life is at 4 or less, choose one out of your energy and switch it to active mode and flip this card over. On the Awaken side, Raditz Brotherly Hate still has the same ability. When this card attacks a leader card, your opponent chooses one card from their hand and sends it to their warp. Activate main once per turn, choose up to one red or green Saiyan card in your battle area and it gets plus 5,000 power for the duration of the turn. So this leader card is a little bit underwhelming, except for the fact that his leader ability does inherently remove cards from your opponent's hand. So do note that this says sends the card to their warp as opposed to sending him to your opponent's drop area, which means that cards such as General Mercenary Tau won't trigger off this card's ability, which is a good big bonus. But that being said, though, this card inherently has no way to draw cards at all. So usually for these sort of leaders that don't draw cards on the front side, they usually have an Awaken ability that allows them to draw 2 cards, or at least like draw 1, untap 1. Even on his Awaken side, he doesn't draw any cards as well. So this is going to be a deck that's extremely starved out of cards throughout the entire game, and you have to be extremely careful with your card management for this deck. Unfortunately, there are quite a couple of cards in this set that do require you to have a green Raditz leader. So in order to play those cards, you are going to be locked to this leader. So unfortunately, some of those cards aren't going to allow you to play it in other like green leader or like green Saiyan leader type strategies. As for his Awaken side, yes, you can give a red or green Saiyan plus 5,000 power. It's like a very like generic, a very general skill. So it's not particularly amazing. It's just like effectively an extra combo card, effectively. And on the Awaken side, unfortunately, he still has to attack a leader in order to warp a card from your opponent's hand, which is really restrictive. So usually, most leaders on the Awaken side, whenever they attack full stop, they draw a card. So in this case, it would have been fine probably if Raditz still just warped the card from your opponent's hand when he attacked just like any card as opposed to attacking specifically a leader card. So that is kind of one annoying drawback to this card. So next, we have Kaioken Son Goku Training Complete. So on the front side, when this card attacks a leader, draw 1 card. You can awaken at 4 life. If you do, draw 1 card and then choose one of your energies and reactivate it. So it's a draw 1, untap 1. On his Awaken side though, he's got permanent. You can't send cards from your drop area to the warps. Auto, when this card attacks, draw a card. Auto burst 7. When your opponent attacks with a card, negate that attack, then negate this skill for duration of the turn. So basically, every turn he has effectively a free negate, but you do have to sacrifice the top 7 cards of your deck in order to do so. And there's a main reason for why this deck would be wanting to do that. He's also got Activate Main once per turn. When your life is at 1, choose all your opponent's battle cards with blocker and KO them. So this strategy is going to revolve pretty much entirely around the new Kaioken Son Goku Defender of Earth SR, which is a extremely powerful card, probably going to end games every time he's going to be played. And the leader ability does fuel that super res ability, because the super red does require you to have 20 more red or green cards in your bin. So yeah. So unlikely you'll be playing this card with overwhelm cards, because you do want to fill your bin, and his inherent like burst ability to negate attacks as well as put cards in your bin is really good for that. Also, just like negating attacks keeps your life high, which means that you'll have a lot of life saved up. So when you do play a Kaioken Son Goku Defender of Earth, you have a lot of life to sacrifice to its ability. As for his ability of destroying all your opponent's blockers, when he's at life, this I guess is just a little bit extra that just combos with the whole entire Kaioken sort of strategy. So overall, this card seems pretty good, and just at the very least, like the burst 7 negate seems pretty good against pretty much anything that isn't Janemba. The first card of this review, Raditz. It's a 1-cost battle card, 4,000 power. When you play this card, draw a card. Auto, once per turn, when your opponent switches energy to active mode using a non-awakened skill during their turn, choose up to one of your opponent's energy and place it in the drop area. This is basically just Borgos / Godly Destruction Whis. This set releases a whole bunch of them, so basically every color now has one of these in the game. So yeah, basically, if your opponent wants to try to use Senzu Bean and that sort of stuff to reactivate their stuff during their turn, like every element has a way of doing that now. Next, we have Mark Speed Kaioken Son Goku. So it's a free cost 15 with just one red. It's a counterplay card. If there's a multicolor card in your energy, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1, so it becomes effectively a 2-cost counterplay. When you play this card, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and it gets minus 10,000 for duration of turn. Then, if it's your opponent's turn, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and it gets minus 5,000 power for duration of the turn. So, yeah, during your opponent's turn, if you do counterplay with this, you can give neg 10 to one guy, neg 5 to another guy, or you can just give neg 15 to the same guy. So there is a good amount of flexibility on it. Also, yeah, you can just play it on your turn for 2 energy as well. So yeah, so you can just play it on your turn for a 15k that also just negs a guy for 10k. So yeah, it's pretty solid. Now, this card does compete a little bit with Denial of Hope. So Denial of Hope is a counterplay that can kill any guy with 20,000 power or less. So Denial of Hope does have has a stronger range in that it can kill larger guys, and it also prevents them from being put into play, so they don't get the interplay ability as well. Max Speed Kaioken, on the other hand, can hit 2 small guys, so that is something to note, and also puts a 15k body on the board as well. There's not too much value in this set in terms of synergies for having a red Goku or 15k on the field, but yeah, so that it's something to note. Also, now that I look at it, he can be brought back with the new Family Bonds extra card, so you can be brought back using that card's ability to give neg 10 to your opponent's guy. So I guess that is kind of a small benefit to that as well. But overall, like this card doesn't seem too impressive besides from like the artwork and like the cool posing of it. Next, we have Wilderness Training Son Gohan. So basically, this is 1 cost energy boosted Majin Buu, but he's in red. So red hasn't had one of these like 1 cost 5ks that draw a card when they enter play. Yeah, so basically, if you don't have anything better to do on your 1 energy turn, then you can just play this card, draw a card. You generally don't want to be spending energy in your later turns trying to draw cards because you want to be playing your larger plays and like finishing off your opponent. But as a turn 1 play, it's like fine. And also, there are reasons for why you would want to play it in the current strategy. So it does combo well with one of the new red-green cards, which is Son Goku and Piccolo Budding Friendship. It's got Alliance red-green, but if you alliance a Son Gohan, which this card is, then Son Goku and Piccolo get critical and you draw 2 cards as well. So there's both a green and a red 1-drop Gohan, and they both are basically going to be your 1-turn plays. So on the second turn, you play Son Goku and Piccolo, Budding Friendship, swing with it, critical, draw 2 cards, which is pretty good. So this is just like an easy curve to go into that. Next, we have Last Resort Vegeta. So this is like an entire chain of cards that goes right up into the super rare. So Last Resort Vegeta is free cost 10k. It's got deflect, so it is below the curve, but his 10,000 power really doesn't matter. When you play this card from your hand and your leader is Raditz, so yeah, we have to play with the Raditz leader, unfortunately. You may choose 1 card in your hand and place it in a drop area. If you do, choose up to 1 Powerball from your deck and activate it and shuffle your deck. So basically, when it comes into play, you get a free Powerball. Powerball's ability, when this card is placed in a battle area, choose up to 1 green grade 8 from your deck and add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. And then it's got Activate Main. Switch this card to Rest Mode. Choose up to 1 red or green Saiyan from your battle area and gets plus 5,000 power for the duration of turn. Not particularly amazing. So basically, Last Resort Vegeta gets you Powerball and puts it into play for free. And then Powerball then searches for grade 8 Vegeta Energy Manipulation, which is a green 6 cost 8 Vegeta. Yeah, so basically that card, I'm going to talk about the first ability right now, but I'll go into a little bit more depth a little bit later. So its first ability is Activate Main. If there's a Powerball in your battle area and grade 8 Vegeta Energy Manipulation is not in play in your battle area, play this card on top of a Vegeta in your battle area with energy cost for free. So basically, Last Resort Vegeta basically just like comes in and does like virtually nothing. He comes in, puts a Powerball in, and then Powerball searches you for grade 8 Energy Manipulation Vegeta, and then you just like put it on top of the Last Resort Vegeta. So his stats ultimately don't matter because you just got to play him just to get this entire curve, get this entire chain up. So yeah, so I don't think that the ultimate payoff for grade 8 Vegeta is going to be particularly good, but here it's just like a super easy, super consistent chain that you can just go straight up into it. And there is a promo that helps you get Last Resort Vegeta as well. So it's like the green red Raditz deck, even though it doesn't really get any sort of card advantage or draw cards at all, the deck just seems super consistent because each one of these searches just like searches up into the next thing. Next, we have Father Figure Piccolo. So this card's just like a meme by itself, but it's a 1-cost red card. When you play this card, look at the top 7 cards of your deck. Choose up to 1 Son Gohan Youth with an energy cost of 2 or less among them and add them to your hand and shuffle your deck. So there's a ton of 1-cost Gohans in the game. So you got Newfound Power Son Gohan, you got Wilderness Training Son Gohan. So basically, you can use this to search for like a 1-cost Gohan if you do want to play that red-green like budding friendship Goku Piccolo strategy. So you can find additional 1-cost Gohans with it as well. Although realistically, you don't want to play this on your first turn because on your first turn you do want to play like just a 1-cost Gohan that you can alliance into on your following turn. do note that if you're willing to splash a little bit of red into certain green decks, you can play it with the fledgling Juro Son Gohan. So you can go turn 1 Father Figure Piccolo, find fledgling Juro Son Gohan, and he's the one that reduces the cost of your 4-cost Krillins. So it just gives you a slightly more consistent way of ensuring they have fledgling Juro Son Gohan, because you generally don't want to be paying 4 for those Krillins. Paying 3 for them is fine. So this is another way to help you search for those as well. Next, we have Raditz, Saiyan in Arms. He's a 1-cost 4,000 power forward, 0 for 5,000. When this card enters play, draw 1 card. So it's good to note that like a lot of these cards that are going to be played in the Raditz deck, a lot of them draw cards, and a lot of them like inherently like zero card cost, which is really important because Raditz inherently doesn't draw any cards. He's also got Activate Main, pay 1 red, pay 1 green, place this card at its owner's drop. If your leader is a green Saiyan card, choose up to 1 Vegeta card and 1 Nappa card with energy cost 2 or less and 10,000 power from your deck and send them to your warp. Then shuffle your deck. At the start of your next main phase, place the cards sent from the warp with this skill into your battle area. So basically, this is your turn 1 play, and then you turn 2, you use your red-green, sacrifice him, and you get like a Nappa and your Vegeta coming in for free on your third energy turn. In terms of Nappa, there's not too many great options for it. So in this set by itself, there's Napa the Cultivator. It's a 2-cost 10k that can get you Cyberman, but probably the card that you will be wanting to play with Saiyan in Arms is going to be the promo Nappa. So I believe this is a tournament pack Nappa. So you're going to have to go to your locals in order to pick up this card. It's like 2-cost red-green, but you're probably not going to actually have to put it into play. You'll get it free off the rats anyways. It's got Energy Exhaust. When this card cannot be carried by your opponent's skills. When you play this card, you may choose 1 card in your hand and place it in the drop area. If you do, look up the top 10 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 red or green Raditz or Vegeta with an energy cost of 3 or less among them and add them to your hand, then shuffle your deck. So you're not getting a plus with this Nappa, but you're getting this Nappa for free, and this Nappa is going to search for you for your free cost Powerball Vegeta as well. So that's the ultimate goal of Nappa, and so like that's why this entire chain is just very consistent. You go turn 1 Raditz, turn 2 you sack him for Nappa, turn 3 he comes in, and then you search for the free cost Vegeta with it as well. Not to mention, like, your leader ability allows you just every turn to just, like, look at top 5 as well. So, yeah, you're just going to very consistently get up to your, like, free cost Red Vegeta very easily, which gets up into your Great Ape as well. So this is just, like, a great, like, play to get into it. In terms of Vegeta, there's not actually that many cards that you can search for with Raditz, Saiyans, and Arms. Seems like the most relevant target is going to be one of the starter deck exclusive cards, which is Vegeta Royal Prince. So, yeah, he's a 2-cost 10k. Activate main once per turn, choose 1 card in your life and add it to your hand. This card gets plus 5,000 power and critical for duration of turn. Not a particularly amazing card. It does it does help you awaken though, so it does allow you to pick up a life, give it 5,000 critical. So it's just even more pressure for your opponent, because do note that while your leader is attacking your opponent is warping cards from your hand. So like any sort of additional sort of critical, just like pressures your opponent even more and doesn't put cards in their hand. So yeah, that's probably going to be one of the main cards that you will be searching for with Raditz's ability if you do decide to activate him. Next, we have Raditz, Saiyan Assailant. It is a 4-cost double green card. It's a 0 for 5 combo, 20,000 power. When you play this card, choose up 2 of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost of 3 or less, KO them, then your opponent chooses cards from their hand equal to the number of cards you KO with the skill and send them to their warp. So 4 energy is generally the turns where you want to start like applying really strong pressure to your opponent's life and start like actually killing them. But in this case, this doesn't have any sort of like real strong pressure because it's not critical, it's not double strike or anything, and there's nothing that really evolves on top of this. So this seems like much more of like a sealed or limited sort of situation where you play this card. But even then, this card is actually pretty good, like in terms of its just like numbers value. So you can kill like 2 of your opponent's free cost guys, which like inherently is pretty good by itself. And then on top of that, you get to like warp cards from your hand equal to the number of guys that you killed. So in the ideal situation, you kill 2 of your opponent's frees, and then like you make them warp 2 cards from your hand. So I guess if your opponent is playing like World Martial Arts and they go like Goku Oob, you can just like kill them both and then like make them discard 2 cards from their hand. But otherwise, probably more realistically, you're probably going to end up killing a 2 and a 1. It'd be great if you kill like a 3 and a 2, but it seems like a lot of the free costs that are being played in the current metagame all happen to have barriers, or have some sort of way that prevents them from being removed. So yeah, this is like just in terms of like pure values, it's like really, really good. But yeah, in terms of like overall trying to win the game, I think it's going to that's what's going to hinder this card. It just doesn't really help you win the game. It doesn't really help you win the game. It doesn't like really sort of apply much damage or pressure to your opponent, and that's what's really going to hold this back, being a 4-cost battle card. Next, we have Unlikely Juro Son Goku. It is a 3-cost 20k forward, Next card is Unlikely Draw Son Goku. It's a free cost 20,000 power battle card. When you play this card, look at the top 7 cards of your deck for an Earthling or an Namekian among them and add it to your hand and shuffle your deck. So, this card doesn't search for Saiyans, but he does search for a Sun, and he does search for Piccolo. Free cost 20k, that only gets you one card. Not particularly good, but there's a reason why you would want to play this card as well, and that's because it allows you to play like Special Beam Cannon Piccolo for free a little bit later on. So yeah, this card's not great by itself, but you do need it to play the Piccolo card as well. So yeah, so basically this is a card that just sort of that's going to like replace the card in your hand for like playing this card down, and then you're going to sacrifice it a little bit later. So we'll get to that a little bit later when we talk about the Piccolo Special Beam Cannon. But yeah, so this card is not going to be like playable at all unless you're playing that strategy specifically, and even then I'm not even sure that that's going to be a particularly great strategy. Next we have Son Gohan Momentary Awakening. Auto, when you play this card, look at the top 7 cards. Look at the top 7 cards from your deck, choose up to 1 green Son Goku among them and add them to your hand, and shuffle your deck. So there are a couple of relevant targets for this, but most notably is the Son Goku and Piccolo budding friendships. So it is a green card because it's both red and green, and it also is a Son Goku card because it's Son Goku and Piccolo as well. So it just hits a lot of tags, and yeah, so obviously the whole strategy is to go turn 1 either the red Gohan or the green Gohan, and then turn 2 go Goku and Piccolo budding friendship, and then swing in Alliance's Gohan, get critical, get plus 5,000, and yeah, so that's kind of the strategy. It draws you some cards, so it helps you cycle through, and it gives you some cards to play on your third energy turn, which is probably going to be the Goku, the green Goku card that we just spoke about a moment ago, which will then like help you go into the Piccolo and so on. So it's an entire curve that they sort of built with the good guys of the Saiyan saga. So next we have Grade 8 Vegeta Energy Manipulation. He's a 6 cost double green, but you're never going to pay for that because, yeah, if there's a Powerball play in your battle area and Grade 8 Vegeta Energy Manipulation isn't in your battle area, you can chuck it onto your free cost Red Vegeta for free. Yeah, it's actually just a free cost Vegeta, not a red free cost Vegeta. So do keep that in mind. Yeah, when you play this card, activate the skill until the end of your opponent's next turn. This card can't be KO'd by skills, battles, or can't be removed from the battlefield by skills. So, for all intents and purposes, it's basically got indestructible. It still can technically die if your opponent reduces power to 0. But in that case, your opponent has to go neg 30 on it. So, that's really hard to do, especially like on third energy or fourth energy turn. So yeah, for most intents and purposes, he just can't be killed. And he can't even be removed like from the battle area with like any sort of warp abilities or anything like that. And I believe because it says auto, it's kind of like a floating effect. It's not a permanent effect. So even if your opponent does use like chain attack Zeno, even Zeno like can't remove it. Yeah, even Zeno can't remove it. So it seems like pretty strong. Well, like, yeah, you're getting it for free and like basically can't die into 30k, right? It doesn't have double strike or anything. But yeah, you're doing it just so you can get the third effect. When this card is placed in a drop area from a battle area by a skill, you may choose 1 red and 1 green in your energy and switch them to rest mode. If you do, choose up to 1 Vegeta that is both red and green in your drop area with an energy cost of 6 or less and play it. So the whole point of this card is that, yeah, he's supposed to like die, and you're supposed to bring in Vegeta Saiyan Elite, which is the next card there. Now, it's not easy to KO one of your own guys, but there are 2 cards that can help you do it, and they're both Yajirobe. So in the set, we have Yajirobe lying in wait. It's a 2 cost 5k dude. When you play this card, choose up to 1 Vegeta with an energy cost of 6 or less in a battle area and place it into its owner's drop. So it doesn't specify which players it belongs to, so you can use it to sacrifice your own grade 8 Vegeta, but if there ever comes a situation in the metagame where there's like some sort of Vegeta card that's just really strong, you can always use Yajirobe to sacrifice your opponent's Vegeta as well. So do note that it is potentially a relevant tech card in the future if like Vegeta becomes particularly strong. Alternatively, also in the tournament pack, you have Yajirobe Chasing Tail. It's a free cost 4,000 power dude. Yeah, it's permanent. If a green Vegeta with energy cost of 6 is in play in your battle area, you can play this card from your hand without paying its energy cost. When you play this card, you can't play Yajirobe, blah blah blah, for the duration of a turn. Activate main once per turn. Choose up to 1 green Vegeta with an energy cost of 6 in your battle area and place it in its owner's drop and draw a card. So basically, you can play this card for free as long as you have the grade 8 Vegeta on the field, and then once per turn you can sack the Vegeta to draw a card, right? So like Chasing Tail seems like it's going to be the much more optimal card to play than Yajirobe lying in wait, because you have to spend 2 energy play lying in wait. And then when the grade 8 Vegeta dies, you have to subsequently tap a red and a green as well. So you have to tap out your entire full energy that turn in order to play the green Yajirobe. So if you are able to get those red Yajirobes from the tournament packs, you can just play this Yajirobe for free, sack it, and then draw a card. So Yajirobe Chasing Tail is just like better in every way, except for the fact that it can only choose a green Vegeta with energy cost 6 in a battle area put in the drop area. So you can't choose any Vegeta to sacrifice. So Yajirobe lying in wait can technically kill your opponent's stuff. Chasing Tail can kill your opponent's stuff, but it can kill a very specific 6-cost green Vegeta, right? So, Yajirobe's scope is Chasing Tail. The scope is a little bit more narrower, but it's just like much more efficient. So yeah, this card is like not particularly impressive, but it's only here just so we can play Vegeta Saiyan Elite on a cheap, easy curve. Next, we have Vegeta the Cruel. It's another counterplay card. So it's a free cost 15,000 power dude. Counterplay, play this card. If a multicolored card is in your energy, reduce cost in your hand by 1. When you play this card during your opponent's turn, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost 4 or less and KO it. Then your opponent chooses one card in their hand and sends it to their warp. So this fulfills a very similar role as Preemptive Strike. Do note that Vegeta Cruel only requires one specified green, whereas Preemptive Strike, like all the other like sort of extra card counterplays, they all require like double energy requirements. So Vegeta Cruel is much more relevant in like in multicolored decks. So the cost is a little bit less restrictive. The downside is that your opponent's battle card is still entering the field though, so you can KO a guy that's 4 or less, but they will get their enter play abilities as well, so do keep that in mind. The upside is that you do get to warp a card from your opponent's hand as well. So there are pros and cons to like playing Preemptive Strike and Vegeta the Cruel. Vegeta Cruel is also like searchable as well, so there are pros and cons. If you want to just like guarantee that like your opponent's guys die and they don't get the interplay ability, then Preemptive Strike is going to be what you want. But Vegeta Cruel, there are arguments that can be made for like why you would want to play him. Next, we have Piccolo, Special Beam Cannon Unleashed. He's a 4-cost 20k. If you have a green Son Goku with 20,000 power in your battle area, Piccolo Special Beam Cannon Awaken Unleashed isn't in play in your battle area. You can play this card from your hand without paying its cost. So basically, if you play Unlikely Duo Son Goku, you get this Piccolo in for free. Activate main once per turn. Choose one Son Goku with 20,000 power or more in your battle area and place it into his own drop. Choose one of the following. Either choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 2 or less, ignoring barrier, and KO it. If you KO the card, your opponent chooses 2 cards from their hand and place them in the drop, or choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and KO it. So basically, you're sacrificing one of your guys to like just kill one of their guys. It doesn't ignore barrier, which is kind of annoying for the second part. So if you want to kill like any of their guys, you can't hit barrier, but you can hit barrier 2 or lesses, which I guess like you'll be hitting Mercenary Tower most of the time, and then you get to like dump 2 cards from your opponent's hand, which is actually pretty good considering this card is like effectively a free energy turn. There are ways that you can get it out a little bit earlier if you play like vanilla Goku with Vegeta and stuff like that. But for most intents and purposes, it's going to be a free cost card that you get to play for free because you're playing Unlikely Duo Son Goku. So like otherwise stat wise, this card is not particularly great. He doesn't have double strike, doesn't have crit, doesn't have barrier, doesn't have anything. So he's just basically a like destruction or a discard engine. But yeah, and you can only have one of him on the field for free. For free as well. So yeah, if you like, it's not like you're going to do this effect more than once per turn. Like you'd probably be pretty lucky if you do this effect more than once a game, to be honest. But yeah, so like it's an okay card. It doesn't really like sort of like do anything massive to your opponent, but the simple fact that you can get a 20k pretty early in the game is good. And your Unlikely Duo Son Goku doesn't have to be active, so you can play the Unlikely Duo Son Goku, swing with it, then play this Piccolo for free, then sack it, do some damage to your opponent's hand, and then swing with the Piccolo as well. So it's actually a pretty good tempo play, but like other than that, it's like not particularly amazing. Next, we have Chaozu, Desperate Measures. It's a 1-cost, 1,000 power dude. Place this card into its drop area. Choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost 2 or less and KO it. So this card seems like kind of weak. So yes, you can combo it, but like you're spending 1 energy to kill one of your opponent's 2 costs. So the only real value to this is if you play it on turn 1 and then you just bank it. So if your opponent plays stuff on their second energy turn with like a 2 cost, then you can kill it without spending any extra energy to do it. That being said though, Crisis Crusher Son Goku is like really popular in the current metagame. So like if you do like play Chaozu on your turn 1, they can just like play Crisis Crusher and just kill it straight away, right? So like in terms of his ability, I just think that this card's a little bit too awkward to really sort of be relevant in the current metagame. If you want to deal with like 2-cost cards, there are a couple of cards that can handle 2-cost cards pretty effectively, but this is probably not one of them. Next, we have Yajirobe Lying in Wait. I've talked about this card. Basically, you're only playing this if you have Grade 8 Vegeta, or if the metagame just becomes super Vegeta heavy for some reason. Next, we have Urgent 8 Kami. So this is yet another Borgos in the game. So now every element or every color's got one, except for black. I don't think black gets one. Don't quote me on that one. But yeah, Urgent 8 Kami, it's one cost, 4,000, combo 0 for 5, and just play, draw a card, and then he's got the rest of Borgos abilities. Arguably, this is possibly the best one of them all, just because of a lot of the tags that it's got. So the fact that it's a green Namekian makes it searchable with Assimilate. So Assimilate is just like a 0 cost extra card that can search for a green or yellow Namekian of cost 2 or less, which he is. And Assimilate doesn't actually require any yellow energy to do. So even though it's a yellow card, you don't require yellow energy. So if you are just got green energy, you can just play Assimilates in your deck to just search for this card. So you can very easily guarantee you have just turn 1 Kami if you have Assimilates. In addition to that, he's also a god, so you can also play with Heroes Mafuba as well. You can just cast Heroes Mafuba normally as just a regular negate, but if you happen to have a green god on the field, then it attaches onto the battle card as well and just Mafubas it as well. So it's just really flexible, and I think a lot of green decks might just straight up main deck it in general. Next, we have Napa the Cultivator. He's a 2 cost 10,000 power dude. Activate main, choose 1 card in your hand and place it into drop area. Choose up to 1 Cyberman from your deck and play it, and then shuffle your deck. So it does say activate main, doesn't say once per turn, so you can get multiple Cyberman. But to be honest, Cyberman is pretty crap. So Cyberman is a 1 cost guy. He's a blocker. Permanent, you can include any number of them in your deck as you want. When this card is KO'd, choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 1 or less and KO it. So basically are only there to either block or to KO your opponents once, right? So they're really weak, and each one of those is you have to sacrifice a card to do. So yeah, it's a huge drain on your hand, and definitely if you're playing Raditz Leader, you won't even do this ability at all. Simply because Raditz Leader just doesn't draw any cards. So yeah, you sacrificing cards is really bad for these guys. They are blockers, so I guess in certain strategies where your opponent is going to do, I don't know, Harder Mastery on you, and you don't necessarily have enough energy to protect yourself, you can just pitch 4 cards, get 4 of these Cybermen. So your opponent can your opponent can rest a whole bunch of Cybermen, but Harder Mastery won't be able to rest enough energy and enough blockers to get through, right? So that's potentially a thing. But yeah, it's probably a really bad solution to not as big a problem anymore. So this card is not good. And if you do it, you're probably losing the game. And yeah, so Cyberman, we just talked about that. Not particularly good. If you want to kill 1 cost, you just play Crisis Crusher. Next, we have Double Sunday, man. I would have liked this card a lot more if they called it Keep Your Eye on the Birdie. So I'm a little bit sad that they didn't do that. So it's 1 cost extra card, activate battle. If your leader is a Raditz card, it gets plus 15,000 power for duration of turn. Then choose up to 1 of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost 2 or less and KO it. So this is very similar to Shock and Death Ball because they both KO 2 or lesses, and effectively you're using them to get out of combat, right? So I'm not sure, even with the Raditz leader, I'm not sure if I would play Double Sunday over Shock and Death Ball. The one benefit of Double Sunday is that you can do it offensively. So Double Sunday you can do on offense to KO 1 of your opponent's 2 or lesses, but you can also do it on defense as well. So it doesn't specify which turn it is. So there is a degree of strength to that, but you're generally not too afraid of 2 cost dudes, right? So yeah, it's just a very tiny bonus for playing Double Sunday. But in general, I think Shock and Death Ball is probably the way to go because it's also got sparking negate as well. So yeah, so Double Sunday, not a fan. Doesn't really hit anything that's too important, and the plus 15k is pretty whatever. Next, we got Powerball. We've spoken about this. This card is basically for free. And you get it off the red Vegeta. And yeah, it searches you for Grade 8 Vegeta straight away. So pretty much it just guarantees the entire Grade 8 chain. And I guess yeah, it's got activate main. You can switch to rest mode to get a red or green Saiyan plus 5k. So I guess yeah, giving your Grade 8 Vegeta plus 5k to go up to 35k is pretty good, right? Yeah, so you're going to just do it just to get Grade 8 Vegeta energy manipulation, but otherwise, it's just every turn onwards, you're just giving 5k for you guys for duration of turn. Next is Hidden Power of the Saiyans. So this is kind of Preemptive Strike, but it feels kind of bad. So it's a counterplay with double green 2. If your leader card is green, your opponent may place the battle card that they're playing in their owner's drop area instead of playing it. If they didn't, your opponent chooses 2 cards from their hand and places it in their drop area. So basically, this is Preemptive Strike, except there's no longer the restriction of the battle card being cost 4 or less. but your opponent has to discard 2 cards from their hand. So, in general, when it comes to most card games, giving your opponent a choice is usually pretty bad because your opponent just chooses the one that's least advantageous to you. So it seems like if you you can't rely on this to kill, I don't know, Goku path to greatness. Path to greatness. So you can't rely on this to kill it. So at best, this is like a 2-cost card that makes your opponent discard 2 cards from their hand. Which I guess if you're playing the Raditz leader, you're negging cards from their hand anyway. So the 2 additional cards off their hand is pretty bad. But if the card that they're playing isn't super good, then the Hidden Power of the Saiyans is probably pretty solid. Doesn't specify it's weird. Even though it's called Hidden Power of the Saiyans, it doesn't actually require a Saiyan leader, right? So something interesting to note. So if you do play, you can actually play this with green androids, right? And yeah, if you're playing with green androids, if you're negging your opponent's hand down to nothing, then all of a sudden your opponent may not want to just pitch 2 cards when they've only got 4 cards in hand in order to do this, right? So that is something to note. Very interesting, probably a bit of a loophole that they kind of missed out. But yeah, so I'm pretty much not a fan of this card. Simply because your opponent gets a choice of discarding 2 cards. So if you haven't done a good job in reducing your opponent's hand size, then Hidden Power of the Saiyans is probably going to just fail a lot of times. Next we have For the Greater Good. So these are this is more of those 1-cost negates that you can play from your bin. So it's a 1-cost negate. Counterattack if your leader card is green, negate the attack, then choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 1 and KO it. So it's basically full power energy, but it does require you to be a green leader. Permanent if this card is in your drop area and you can activate it by paying its energy cost and removing it and 1 green card from your hand from the game. When you activate this card, you can't activate For the Greater Good for a duration of turn. So basically you can only do one of these once per turn. And also when he's in your bin, you can play it again by removing a card from your hand and paying the cost as well. Only being able to hit once isn't particularly amazing. And yeah, they're probably better negates as well. Probably Shocking Death Maul is just straight up better, especially because it's Sparking 5, so you can do it on no energy as well. So For the Greater Good, not particularly good, and you don't want a lot of them in your deck because you can only activate one of these negates once per turn. Next, we're finally moving on to the red and green cards. So we have 7 costs, Kaioken Son Goku, Defender of Earth. So he's 7 costs, so he's a little bit expensive, and he's got really intensive specified color. So he's got 2 red, 3 green, so that's pretty intense. It's very specific. It's got Deflect, which is good. Energy Exhaust because it's dual colored. Permanent. If there are 20 more red or green cards in your drop area, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 2. So it becomes a 5-cost card that's triple green, double red. Auto, when your life reaches 1 for the duration of the turn, this card gains triple strike and dual attack and can't be carried by opponent's skill. So for all intents and purposes, this guy is just a huge beat stick, right? And your opponent can't KO it, so yeah, your opponent can't use Brawly or whatever to blow it up, right? So yeah, he's extremely strong at this stage of the game. Activate main, and this is what really pushes the card over the top. Choose 1 card in your life and add it to your hand. If your opponent reveals their hand, choose up to 1 card from your hand and place it in the drop area. And this card gets plus 25,000 power for duration of the turn, right? It gets plus 25,000 power for each card you take from life. And by the way, this just says activate main. It doesn't say once per turn. So you can just take a ton of life. Look at your opponent's hand. So now you have 100% information on your opponent's hand, and you just basically pull out all the negates. And this guy gets plus 25,000 power each time, right? So even if you do it twice, it's 75,000 power, right? And you've taken their negates and their super combos out of their hand. Pretty much at just 2 life, it basically becomes unstoppable. But on top of that, he's triple strike, dual attack, right? So you basically get to swing twice with him. In the ideal situation, you probably just want to just kill your opponent on the first shot, because afterwards your opponent gets more cards in their hand, and then you're not sure what sort of cards they got in their hand. They probably pick up on the gate or whatever. And yeah, do know he only gets triple strike and dual attack when you reach 1 life. So it's not like you can do activate main twice, pick up 2 life, get rid of your opponent's negates, swing once, and then pick up some life and then swing again, right? So you have to go all the way down to 1 in order to get triple strike, dual attack. But yeah, so if pretty much it becomes a complete game win. If your opponent's at 3 life, your opponent really can't do anything at this stage. Taking 2 life is basically makes it you can't combo over it. Taking 3 life, 100k, it's pretty much done, right? Plus you've got your combos you can track on top of it. So obviously you got the big restriction of this card is that 2 restrictions. 1, you got to go 3 green, 2 red. So it's very, very specific. You can't even deviate from that a little bit. You require 20 more red or green cards, which I guess the Kaioken Goku training complete, the burst 7 is relevant. But any leader that really just burst cards into your bin, is also going to be pretty relevant with it as well. So yeah, so that is quite a bit of breadth to the decks that can play this card. You're probably going to want to play at least some of the dual color energies, just so you have a little bit of flexibility in terms of like which energies you energy like early and late game. Unfortunately, you have to go free green though. So red generally just seems a little bit like a little bit more valuable in terms of energy than green does. But yeah, so otherwise this card's like fantastic if you can put it into play, right? But like just putting him into play is the hard part. Next, we have Son Goku and Piccolo, Budding Friendship. It's a 2-cost, 10,000 for red-green. Energy Exhaust, of course. It's got Alliance red-green. If you Alliance a guy and it's Son Gohan Youth, then draw 2 cards, and this card gains critical for duration of turn. In this set, straight up, there's like a green Gohan and red Gohan. They're both 5,000, so it just puts this guy up to 15,000 critical, and you draw 2 cards, which is pretty good for your second energy turn, right? So if you're going first, you just go like turn 1 Gohan, so either the red one to draw a card or green one that can search for this card. Turn 2, go for this guy, draw 2 cards, crit your opponent, and your opponent's only got 1 energy open, so it's pretty good. And then following turns, you can play like the 3-cost Goku, and you can curve up from there. So yeah, so like if this sticks around, it's freaking crazy, right? Yeah, so like your opponent's priority is just going to be like kill this guy on the second turn. But yeah, so if your opponent doesn't straight up just kill this guy, and like if you get a second hit with this, it's just so fantastic, right? Like imagine just drawing 4 cards and you like crit them twice with 15, right? That's just such a huge swing. So it's really like it's huge priority for your opponent to deal with this card. So I guess like against Shenron or like Black Witch leaders because they can't attack, it's probably going to be real difficult for them to like deal with this card. So I think yeah, this is probably going to be a solid card depending on the metagame. But I'm pretty sure yeah, it just dicks on like a Shenron deck super hard. Next we have Vegeta Saiyan Elite. So all the trouble that we go through to like get the grade 8 Vegeta and then sacrifice the grade 8 Vegeta. What's the whole point? The whole point is to get Vegeta Saiyan Elite. 6 costs, red, green, green. But you're generally not going to be paying the 6 to play this card anyway. So you get this card for free after your grade 8 Vegeta dies. And you have to pay a red-green in order to do so. So you are kind of still paying for him. So he's a 20,000 power, which is like actually woefully underpowered for a 6 cost. It's got double strike, energy exhaust. Auto once per turn. When this card attacks, your opponent chooses 2 cards from their hand and sends them to their warp. Not particularly amazing. It just seems kind of like it's very similar to the 6-cost super rare Super 17, right? But yeah, so this only has like 1 attack and it's only just double strike. It's also got activate main once per turn. Red green, if your leader is a green sand card, deal 1 damage to your opponent. So yeah, I guess you can like deal 1 damage like to your opponent as well. So I guess if you go like on your 4th energy turn, you can play the free Yajirobe, sacrifice the grade 8 Vegeta, pay 1 red, pay 1 green, put this guy into play. So you then still have another 2 energy open. So ideally that'd be a red and a green. You can swing with this guy, double strike your opponent. Your opponent discards 2 cards from their hand. You just dump a ton of cards from your hand. If you can get them down to 1, then at that stage you just like activate main, just like deal last damage, right? So yeah, I don't really foresee this card like surviving the turn that it gets 1 attack. But yeah, if you can go take your opponent down from 3 life down to like 1 life, then you just straight up win, right? Unless your opponent's playing some of the new like blue-yellow stuff and they just tap you down when you think you got the win. But yeah, so like overall, I think this like even though this entire chain is actually pretty easy to do, and it's pretty consistent, I don't think it's particularly good. Like you're jumping through a lot of hoops just to cool like 2k like do 2 cards to like discard 2 cards from your opponent's hand, and yeah, you can pay to deal 1 damage to them, right? So yeah. And it's not even that big, just 20,000, right? So, like, inherently, like, your opponent just, like, does a super combo or a 1 for 10, and they're safe, right? So, yeah. So, if this card either had triple strike or just a little bit more power, which is weird because, like, this is, like, Vegeta Saiyan Elite. You'd think this guy would be, like, triple strike or, like, 35k or some shit. But, yeah, nah, he's just 20k. He's so weak. Yeah, I guess you do, like, use your lead ability, give him +5, and then you do have Powerball gives him another +5. Actually, I guess that's kind of why they balance him this way, just because like his base power is low, just because you inherently already have 2 cards that are just going to give him like +5s like real easily. Obviously your opponent's probably just going to straight up negate this attack. But yeah, and then like you can choose to deal the damage or not. So I guess you can hold energy open for your defense, and your opponent's like neg 2 cards already. So and don't forget like your leader's just been negging your opponent's hand already. So I guess I'm not really like 100% sure on this, but like yeah, so. Like, I don't think it's very good. I guess I'm going to have to sit down and actually play some games and, like, run through the numbers of how many cards your opponent's hand, in your opponent's hand and, how much damage you've dealt and stuff. But, like, at this stage, it just seems a little bit unimpressive. And that's it for our set 7 review of the green red cards for the Saiyan Saga. So, what do you guys think? Are there any cards that are overrated or underrated? Do let me know in the comment section down below. I do respond to you guys. And the next video we'll be talking about the yellow. We'll start talking about the yellow blue cards, and we're probably going to start off with the Zamasu art cards first. So until next time, Grand J out.